We hauled out Oiysh, our retired racing boat, to take care of a crack around its stern tube and leaky keel bolts, which together were allowing roughly 200 liters of seawater to enter every 8 to 10 hours. As we gained more overview by removing our diesel engine and dropping the keel, we were finding more and more jams. What we think happened was that someone at some point hit something or ran her aground hard. All the cracks, the lamination, and the laminated stringers seemed to be consistent with the back of the keel wanting to push into the boat after being abruptly stopped. Anyhow, we had removed all the major obstacles, so it was time for quest number 4, fully assess the damage. Well, there was one more tiny obstacle. As I mentioned previously, Oiysh is a retired racer. She was actually built for Sydney Hobart Yacht Race, which she finished at 4th place in 1986, first in Division B, under her original name Aladdin. We don't know her full history, but at some point she was registered and raced in US, and the owner at the time put in additional 500 kilograms of ballast into her. We assume it was done to adhere to the class rules, as the blueprints we have do not show that additional ballast. We don't plan to race her in any official capacity, so it was simply dead weight. We needed access underneath it anyhow, so it was decided that just as our diesel engine, the lead slabs were to be removed and were not coming back. Between the engine, everything around it, and the lead, we got rid of almost 1 ton of weight, so we were quite happy about it. After the lead was gone, we could proceed to chisel away all the delaminated fiberglass, filler, and rotten stringers. We had 2 stringers that were detached from the hull, and one of them was also cracked. Both saturated with oil where the detached wood was exposed. After some deliberation, we decided that we will be removing only the bad parts, as replacing the stringers fully was way too big of a job that we had neither the time nor the money to tackle. was to insert a new piece of wood in between the healthy remnants of the old stringer. The wood we had access to unfortunately didn't have the same dimensions as the original piece, but the idea was that we will make up for the difference with additional layers of fiberglass. The first cut revealed that the damage was going further than we initially thought. That seemed to be the general theme of this refit. So it was back to cutting. But on the second try we managed to get to the healthy wood that was still firmly attached to the hull.
Yes! Stop się!
Tak
Stop
powinno
się!
wyglądać. Nie tak. Yes? No.
The second stringer we tackled was a bit more complicated, as we didn't have access from all the sides, and getting access to properly fiberglass everything back in place would require enormous amount of destruction. Like getting rid of the whole engine base, not just part of it like we ended up doing, and opening the two compartments that were holding the original lead ballast. This was a can of worms we decided not to open.
Coś tam. Że jest z tym, ale co z tego?
Removing all the damaged wood and also a bit of healthy one involved some boat yoga. At the end though, the space where the new wood would be slotted in was prepared. We were fully aware that this approach might bite us in the butt further down the road. Still, we decided to leave it for the future us to worry about, especially that our stern tube / bilge situation was evolving as well.
Tyle historii.
Our initial happy thoughts were that fixing it would involve only reinforcing the weak spots and cracks with additional fiberglass.
To w takim układzie jest aż dotąd, nie?
The biggest challenge we thought we were facing here was how to fiberglass it well within the tiny amount of space, as our bilge is rather a bilge box, and a tiny one at that. Bartek kept on chiseling away the laminated fiberglass and uncovering the mayhem that was our bilge area.
A, bo jednak odchodzi całe.
Filer. Naprawdę.
I to chyba low density.
There were many quiet moments of contemplation as we pondered the challenge that was unfolding in front of us.
Śliskie jest wszystko, wiesz? Dobrze nasmarowane jest. To jest dobrze. Tylko tam jest czarność pod spodem, nie?
Tak.
To jest... Jak to kurwa się trzyma tak dobrze?
For this part of the job, we used mostly the chisel and hammer duo for a lot of reasons, but mostly two. For one, using the grinder to do it would only spread out the oily grime that seeped in between the layers. Secondly, and more important, we were actually living on board while all of this fun and games was happening, so we wanted to limit the fiberglass dust to a bare minimum.
Wiem, dokąd to zmierza.
Do środka.
To jest fest.
Trzyma się na złość.
Dlatego, że jest skantowany, wiesz, idzie na dół.
Tu jest czystość prawie z tej strony.
Teraz to już jest po fazie, teraz to już muszę to...
Tak.
Soon we realized that we were dealing with layers upon layers of fixes, and the only reasonable approach would be to cut out the bilge box completely and build it again from scratch. There was just too much of the lamination, oil-soaked Kevlar and wood for us to justify leaving it in place. But that was a quest for another day. For now we focused on preparing all the new wood. one bigger piece was quite straightforward. The pieces for the other stringer were a bit more fiddly.
Bardziej myślałem, żeby to było.
We needed to cut a couple of different pieces to fit in the space, leaving as few gaps as possible to be filled by epoxy paste. Of course, everything would be fiberglassed after. Still, the better job we did, the stronger the new stringer would be. Eventually, everything was dry fitted and ready for when it was time to epoxy them back in place. When dealing with a big project like this refit, it's sometimes easy to get overwhelmed by the amount of destruction that first needs to take place. That's why preparing the wood for the new stringers let us believe that maybe there was light at the end of the tunnel, and it might just not be a freight train. To prolong that feeling of hope, I went on to sand all the wood pieces and to clean the backing plates for the keel bolts. What can I say? It's the small things in life. Then we washed everything for the 100th time. I know that I'm probably repeating myself, but I truly don't want to have to deal with diesel ever again. We also set up a chamber with a heat gun to help dry out the old healthy wood that was now clean but wet. There was also the small side job of rerouting the water coming in from our masts so it wouldn't soak the drying wood or mess up the epoxy job later. Speaking of side jobs, as we decided at this point that our Volvo Penta was not coming back on board, we wanted to get rid of the two holes for the saltwater intake. Easy peasy, right? Well, not really. Seems that it was mounted extremely well, and it took us over an hour to get it out.
Mniej dziur dla ciebie, lepiej dla ciebie, no. Oj. Weź, nie wygłupiaj się.
The creative destruction wasn't done yet, but we were getting closer to the moment we could start to rebuild. Next quest on the horizon was getting rid of the old bilge box.